Yes, it's literally commercials. Anyway, we are back with Ohio's on Fire. You just listened to Whip It by Devo, and then I played Satisfaction by Devo, which was a cover of that classic Rolling Stones songs from the 60s. Of course, I'll have more music coming up. But right now, I got a special guest in the studio. He is the one and only Robert Leonard. He is the leader of the Adventurers Guild here at Wright State University. But say hello, Robert.
Hello, everybody.
All right. Welcome to the show. Now, for those at home that don't really know what it's all about, tell them, what is the Adventurers Guild?
We're a collective group of people who come together, usually on Friday nights, and we like to just play games. We play everything from card games like Apples to Apples, Cards Against Humanity, if you ever heard of it, to Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, all those good RPGs that you always see on television getting made fun of.
Awesome. Now for the Wright State group, now is that what you guys do Friday? Do you guys work with other groups?
What we usually do is we're on the station on the third floor of Ullman. 6:30, 7:30 is usually our get-together time.
Yeah.
We have a meeting usually about once a month, beginning of the month. And what we do is basically everyone gets a room. Mm-hmm. Everyone goes off into their other games. We've got people doing stuff like, I've got a world that's based off of Star Wars. I've got a world that's based off of medieval fantasy. And sometimes we have a world that's based off of just modern day and just no superpowers, no magic, no nothing. You're just going around living your everyday.
Yeah, who creates those themes? Do you guys have meetings some weeks to determine what games get played and what direction you guys go in?
The way that it's really determined is DMs, Dungeon Masters, or Game Masters, as they're often referred to, will come to the guild and say, hey, I'm going to run, for instance, Star Wars, The Old Republic, and this time the Sith Empire wasn't all destroyed, and they'll bring up their own universe with themes that they've pulled together. A lot of times they'll be based on certain things, like I've seen a Flash Gordon-based game, for those of you who are old. I've seen games based off of Supernatural. I've seen stuff based off of the future, big one called Shadowrun, where magic and technology have really gone off the deep end and corporates rule the earth. And then you've got the stuff like Dungeons and Dragons, where elves, wizards, goblins, and the like are out throughout the world, and you have to go into the dungeon and fight them.
Awesome, man. Now, I understand, the thing of Adventurers Guild, it's all about role-playing and engaging in fantasy. Now, what your opinion, what are the positive effects of people that engage in fantasy role-playing? Any long-term positive effects?
Honestly, a lot of camaraderie. Because what you learn through these RP, you build better friendships with these people.
Yeah.
My main group of guys, my friend Zach and my friend Carrick, we will get together and we'll say, hey, let's play this game, and we will just play it for... I remember we had a Star Wars game, and we played it for 3 days straight. We went from basically being, we just learned how to use our lightsaber Sith Lords, to being by the end of it, one of our guys we had basically broken off from the Sith Empire, started our own organization. My friend had gotten off of his death stick addiction. We had all basically joined up this order, and we were starting to fight for the Republic. Okay. We had infiltrated it, we had subterfuged our way in, and all this sort of stuff, and it was just, all this happened over about a 2 solid days, solid 48 hours of just solid talking, dice rolling. But actually, what's surprising is, a lot of times that I've found what can be better is, sometimes you'll have gamers who are basically I want to roll the dice, I want to be the most, I can do X really well. Ask me to do Y, Z, or A, I can't do that. But I can do X so well you wouldn't even believe your pants were on. And other times you get players who are I've got a guy who's got an actual story. Okay. Who will actually have a family, who will have connections, who will have a life in this world. Though, kind of the funny thing is, my friend Zach always manages to kill off my friend Carrick's parents. But that's a revenge story about a fountain in in that same Star Wars game.
Awesome. All right. Now, why are people in the gaming industry, they're labeled as nerds, those that are social outcasts? Why do you think that is?
Honestly, I think it's because people don't understand what gaming is. I see a lot of people I've watched The Big Bang Theory, and I can say, this is written by people who do not game, and who are not true nerds and are trying to make fun of this nerd culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, yeah, people were able to get behind it for a while before it just turned into ha 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 funny nerd thing that I don't really understand makes them look like nerds. On the other side, you've got these people. Sorry.
It's okay.
You've got these people who have basically come together. I see some people write some of the best stories. My friend has created this world that's a mix of ancient Celtic culture, Spartan society, medieval fantasy, Egyptian. All these different cultures come together, and he made his own world, multiverse, reasons behind death, what happens after death, his whole extraplanar dimensions, everything. It's so fleshed out. And I'm just like, I watch these nerd shows, and I'm just going like, yeah, you cover very generic things, but you don't really get into certain into depth things like, oh, we've got story writers, we've got game designers, we've got computer people, we've got artists, we've got all these different types, and we're not just nerds. We've got our art nerds, we've got our computer nerds, we've got our game nerds, we've got our story nerds, we've got our fanboys, we've got our otakus, we've got our bronies, we've just got all these different things.
Yeah.
And that's just one thing don't think people are understanding. We're not just nerd culture. We are cultures that you name nerd.
All right, that's a good explanation.